Thank you all for coming back and reconvening. I'm delighted to be able to introduce our next speaker. We're going to hear from Dr. George Askew, the Chief Medical Officer for the Administration for Children and Families at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Askew helps guide the development of plans, programs, policies, and initiatives that address the health needs and strengths of vulnerable children and families. He's former Deputy CEO of Voices for America's Children, the founder of Docs for Tots, and the former CEO and president of Jumpstart for Young Children. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Askew.
Thank you very much. I apologize for interrupting your lunch. That's very, very important. Good afternoon. I'm honored to have the opportunity to give a few remarks today. This is particularly nice to come back to the Pew Charitable Trust. Lots of friends here. I've seen already lots of familiar faces and lots of hugs given out, and so that's been nice. But I'd like to give a special thank you to Northwestern University's Center on Media and Human Development and the National Center for Family Literacy. I bring greetings from HHS Secretary Sebelius and Assistant Secretary for Children and Families, George Sheldon. The role of technology in the lives of children and their families is an important issue that resonates with both of them. I just want to sort of give some idea of what we do at ACF. Many of you know, or many of you don't know, but I always like to give some folks an idea of why I do what I do and where I come from. ACF is the second largest agency in the Department of Health and Human Services. We have over $50 billion in our budget, 60 programs. And a lot of them will sound very familiar to you. We put them into sort of 4 buckets. As I say, we put the HS in HHS. So I was thinking, good hands, people. We support the folks who are suffering the most significant social and economic struggles and challenges in this country. So we have the Office of the Office of Family Assistance, which has temporary assistance to needy families, which has the Office of Community Services, which has community action programs. About 1,000 of those across 96% of the counties in the United States. We certainly support children through our Office of Child Care, our Office of Head Start, the home visiting program where we administer the tribal home visiting program. We have special populations that we work with, the Office of Refugee Resettlement, which includes unaccompanied immigrant children, human trafficking, repatriation of U.S. citizens in disasters. We have also agencies that work across ACF, like the Office of Human Services Emergency Preparedness and Response, and our Office of External Affairs, and the Office of the Chief Medical Officer, which is my office, so I have sort of broad purview over health issues across ACF, which traditionally has been considered to be a human services agency. We got the White House and the Secretary started thinking of us more as a health agency as well. You don't have health without human services. You don't have human services without health. That said, I just want to point out that these and instruments like them are not the enemy. Although many of us may think they are, especially those of us who live, work, or counsel young people who have, as John Palfrey in Born Digital, Understanding the First Generation of Digital Natives explains, those first generation of children who were born into and raised in the digital world are coming of age, and soon our world will be reshaped in their image. Our economy, our politics, our culture, and even the structure of our family life will be forever transformed. Now, I argue that these things are already very true. For me, it is clear that our political system has changed, and the way we do politics has certainly changed as a result of the digital revolution. In my family, I have a 16-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter. Has certainly changed. My daughter has spent most of her teen years out of the home, away at boarding school, and now in Spain and heading off to Japan tomorrow. And the way we connect is through GChat and text and Skype. And without those things, and my son who goes to school in DC and I live in Maryland, without those being able to connect that way, I can't imagine how we would manage our family life with 2 working parents and kids who are spread all over the world. So again, my family life, politics in this country, and other issues have already changed in this new digital revolution. We live in a digital media age. And from my perspective, it's not about what you use, it's about how you use it. We're in the midst of a technological revolution. In a decade, the technology scene will be drastically different from what it is today. If we choose to fight this revolution, I think we are fighting a losing battle. I say this as a policy professional, a pediatrician, and a parent. And of course, I'm probably speaking to the choir here, and that's probably why you're all here. I remember my first text messaging aha moment, or maybe I should call it my first OMG moment. And was talking to friends who had a teen 5 or 6 years ago, and they were telling us, we're having some trouble with sort of the texting issue. She sent 10,000 texts last month. And at that point I said, what do you mean 10,000 texts last month? Because I didn't understand how this could happen. And of course, this was in the days before the unlimited plans. And so this is actually very expensive for them. But then I started, started to think about it. So if you're sending, let's say 9,000 texts to make the math a little bit easier, and you've got 30 days in a month, so you're sending 300 texts in 10 days, so you're sending 30 texts a day. If you get 10 waking hours, you're sending something like 3 texts. Something that it still seemed ridiculous to me to be sending that many texts. But then I realized when I became a text user that your text is, hey, how you doing? Fine. You? Great. See you at 10. How about 7:30? 7:30 is good. How's your mom? Fine. See you later. Bye. 10 texts, 20 seconds. And then I realized when you start adding it up like that, 9,000 texts goes pretty quickly. And I think that's part of the reason we found quickly that most of these plans went to unlimited text, for instance, because everybody can text like that. Their problem was, of course, different. She was doing it at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning. So they had to make adaptations with the adaptations within their household to actually make it work for them, and that's one of the things that I preach to the families that I work with within my office. Instead of fighting the technological revolution, we need to understand it, adapt to it, and better still, harness the power of it. And we talk a lot about that in HHS, about harnessing the power of technology. And I hope I'm not offending anyone here when I say this. I am so disturbed and disappointed when I say in those countless moments which still happen when I see a colleague of my age and generation, and I assure you I'm older than you think I am, come to the podium and take on the role of technology dunce. I mean, to put it straightforward. They'll come and say, well, I don't really know how to use this. Can someone help me? And you've all seen it, and they act as though technology is completely foreign to them. Well, 5 years ago it was Q. I don't think it's so cute any longer, and I really don't think for professionals, at least of my generation, I don't think it's acceptable. It makes us look old, out of touch professionally, and out of touch with kids in the digital era. So I'm not saying everyone needs to have a Facebook account or a Twitter account, or to be LinkedIn or have a smartphone, but I think folks should understand, if you're going to work with kids, of this generation, you need to understand the basics of what they are and how they work and what they do. If you don't know what they are, and I include Vine and YouTube and Instagram in that list, you'll be out of touch as a professional and as a parent. And it's not going away. We have to engage. I tell parents they need to understand the digital world their children were born into, and this comes up. I would say every pediatric visit, someone will have a question about media, television, screen time. Of course, often new media in particular is portrayed in a new light, in a negative light. Studies have been done drawing connections between obesity and media, violence and media, attention span and media, and more. However, I think we have to find and amplify the potential in media's ability to develop our children, help fight disease in our communities as a healthcare provider, and educate the world on how to live a healthier life. And those are just a few of the things that harnessing the power of media can do for us and for kids. At HHS, we try to take advantage of technology to provide health information, especially to parents. Our free Text for Baby and Text for Kids programs are able to reach a large base of parents who have cell phones to increase health knowledge on maternal and child health, and to also reach underserved populations with critical health information. Recently, Michelle Obama announced a new initiative with Partnership for a Healthy America, which will make it easier for parents to find healthier choices to support their families, to help find healthy recipes online. This partnership makes it possible to find My Plate-inspired recipes that meet the nutrition guidance from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now parents don't have to feel the stress of thinking of new healthy meals that their kids will love. When used in the right way, digital technology has the ability to make our children healthier and happier. In another part of town today, there's the Health Palooza 4, Health Data Palooza 4. It's the 4th annual national conference born from government efforts to liberate health data. The conference is a forum that features the newest and most innovative and effective uses of health data by companies, startups, academics, government agencies, and individuals. The basic idea behind the Health Data Initiative, which spurred the Health Data Palooza, is that government collects a ton of information. And we're not that smart in government. We just aren't. The smart people are all outside of government. We need to make our data available to folks who are smart enough to know what to do with it. And there's nothing to hide. So the goal is to make it as transparent as possible, put it into formats that folks can use, and then bring really smart people together. As one of the things that Todd Parker, who's now the Chief Technology Officer for the U.S., advisor to the President, said to me once ago, you can't hire every smart person, right? But all those smart people are out there, and you can get them by giving them what they need to help you. And so that's sort of what we're trying to do with the Health Data Initiative and the Health Data Palooza. Now, there are, of course, some negative aspects to the technology revolution. Some of them I mentioned earlier. But we understand that it's important to limit screen time, but it's also important to do what is right for you and your family. I'm an AAP member, so I'm a member of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and I'm a pediatrician, and I'm also a policy interpreter and implementer. I don't make policy. That's for Congress to do. Oh boy. But it's also important to do, it's also important to do what's right for you and your family. Now, as a father and a pediatrician, I have to balance my advice to the individual with recommendations for the masses. So, I can't criticize a mother for allowing her child to watch a show or two while she catches up on some sleep. Because in the real world, you've got a kid who's 4, a kid who's 3, and a kid who's 7. And you're trying to make other decisions that impact, if somebody's telling me my kid at this age shouldn't see any screen time, well, that's not my reality. I do all these other things, get them outside, feed them well, engage with them around books, but now you're telling me that if I need that extra moment to put some laundry in and do that I'm going to be doing some significant damage. Well, again, as a pediatrician, I have to look at the entire picture and look at the entire family and help them make decisions that work best for them. So that's kind of how I approach it. And so I've been doing it long enough to feel like I can make that decision for my families. Research has shown that there are also some small positive links between heavy electronic media use and mild attention problems among young people. Also some research showing that young children who watch a lot of TV and other media have a higher risk of delayed language development when they start school. However, on the other side, using technology to play video games is linked to learning how to delay gratification, persist, solve problems, and cope with frustration. Also, active video games can be shown to improve physical activity. So therefore, a balance needs to be established when exposing children to technology and to media. They should reap the developmental and exercise benefits while avoiding some of the negative consequences if we can do that. I want to talk a little bit more about TV. This is not new, of course. It's not part of the quote-unquote revolution as I see it, but it's important for us to engage parents about it. Now, while the number of hours spent watching TV can be a factor in childhood obesity, I like to think that product placement issues are equally important part of what we do with respect to television and movies, which provide a medium to promote high-energy, nutrition-deficient foods, which, of course, once children see these, and they're going to be more likely to ask for them on their next shopping trip. And studies have shown that for each 1-hour increment of TV viewing per day, 3-year-olds were found to have higher intakes of sugar-sweetened beverage and lower fruit and vegetable intakes. So being aware of the effects concerning advertising on children is important, and limiting their exposure to such advertising can make a huge difference. But it's not just about advertisements, but also content. We have to limit a child's exposure to violence on TV. Sleep problems like nightmares and trouble falling asleep go up in preschool children when exposed to violence on TV. Researchers have demonstrated that very young children will imitate aggressive acts in TV with their play, with their peers. But I debated whether or not I would tell you this story because it really shows my ignorance coming out of college. I was a psychology and social relations major, so my first job was as an associate teacher counselor in the Greenview Day Treatment Center in Cleveland, Ohio, my hometown, working for what was then called severe behavior handicapped kids. And these are kids in my classroom were 12 to 22 who were either on their way from a juvenile detention center and transitioning back into school, or from school, and this may be the last stop before a juvenile detention center, unless through our treatment program we could get them back on the right track. And I did some interesting things in the year I was there. I started a student council and started instilling pride and ownership in school and the kids. And one of the things I did was had a day where everybody was on task, and all the ones who were on task got to watch a movie of their choosing. So 22-year-old me, it's almost 30 years ago, 22-year-old me decided to let them choose their movie, and they chose Children of the Corn. So clearly a few of you know this movie. So showed the movie, and I don't think the school has seen that many fights break out after any event ever. So I get dragged into the director's office, and I won't tell you exactly what he said today. A few choice words, but one sentence sticks with me. Have you ever heard of modeling? Was one thing he said. And then he repeated the name of the movie with a few expletives interspersed between each word, and said, do you know what happens in this movie? They kill every adult they see. And so I learned my lesson about media and modeling then, and previewing what kids watch and trying to make better decisions. So it's important to watch TV with your children, and to encourage families to do so, and talk with them about their viewing, and to monitor what's happening with the TV. And I know it gets harder when we get computer screens that disappear into bedrooms, which I've certainly had to deal with. And keep TVs and video games out of bedrooms if possible. I'm a kid who actually grew up with a TV in my bedroom from the time I was 5 years old. And I will not say I'm okay with it, because I don't know what my attention span is really like, and whether that had an impact. But now that's impossible. TV is your computer. Everything you can get on your TV, you can get on your computer, you can get on a phone. So it makes it much more of a challenge for parents. And that's one of the things we all have to keep in mind. This is very challenging. This is hard, and we have to put ourselves in their place, and it can't just be either that didn't exist when I was a kid, I didn't need it, you don't need it. This is their world. They will have it whether or not you want them to have it or not. It cracks me up that families won't let their kids watch TV in the house, but will let them visit their friends. But of course, their friends all get, again, you have to explain it. It's there, it's everywhere, and you can't avoid it. And so, my recommendations to parents are always, to check the content of shows and movies before showing them to the kids. Follow the ratings on the shows and games to make sure the kids are not watching or playing anything too mature for the development level, and use caution with their own digital technology use, so the kids are not overexposed to content they don't understand, but also so that you set the right example. And my 16-year-old just started learning to drive, and if my phone is anywhere near me in the car while we're driving, he is on me. And what he said, what kind of example are you setting for me? But I'm at a stoplight, I'm not moving, I just want to check. No, you're setting a bad example, and he's right. And so now we have a rule, and my phone is not near me when I'm driving. It doesn't tempt me. And so, again, we have to set the right example. We have to help parents set the right examples. For television networks, can we create more platforms where children are given a chance to explore and answer their own questions during the show to foster curiosity and imagination? And one of the things, when I try to explain to parents what happens with television that doesn't happen with interaction with people, they said kids are going to talk to the TV, they're going to babble at it, and they expect some reaction. When they talk to you and babble to you, they get a response no matter what it is. They say something cute and you're in their face saying something cute back. That doesn't happen with television, and that language development is a dance, and so they don't learn the way to dance properly when it's done that way. But if you're there with them, you can help that dance along. And again, so that's one way that I help explain to parents how television can work with them rather than against them. Wanting folks to incorporate more physical aspects during shows that encourage kids to stand up and dance or be active with the TV characters, and include small segments on how to make a healthy snack, and highlighting different outdoor activities and games that parents can do with their kids. The kinds of things that kids will see on TV and say, "Well, I want to go do that. Let's go outside." And I think no parent will resist a child who says, "Let's go outside and play catch." Media in all forms is such an important part of how our society and the kids in it function today. There's no way to avoid it, so it's best that we learn how to balance the use of it. Again, it goes back to what I tell parents, and again, I've told you over and over again, so I won't belabor that. Also, as a health and human services policy person, I think we should focus on the use of digital technology as tools of health education and outreach, from looking at healthy recipes to following Secretary Sebelius at Sebelius and me at George Askew, MD, on Twitter. So again, these, and your laptops, your iPads, your Google Glasses, etc., are not the enemy. If used with balance, they can be part of the solution to things like poor health literacy and obesity for children and families, rather than the cause. But first, for our children, we have to engage, adapt, understand, and harness the potential. So thank you, and happy browsing.